Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Illumineers Quest podcast, where we talk everything Lorcana. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jacob.
Thanks for coming on this journey with us. Okay, this is just going to be a fun little lighthearted, I know, but we talked about Chapter 2 launch weekend, and we kind of got deep and heavy into some of the meta and what we're thinking and how the game has changed on Monday's episode. But today we're just going to have fun, and we're going to talk about the art of Chapter 2.
Fun stuff.
I think, and again, this is not a knock at Chapter 1. I don't know. I haven't looked at all the artist lists and everything yet. The Chapter 2 art goes hard. It is so good.
We opened our first pack and we're like, oh my gosh.
The art is incredible this time. And again, not that it wasn't the first time, because it really was great the first time too. I mean, I can name 4 or 5 cards off the rip here that I loved in Chapter 1. But I feel like every single one of them, there's so many cards. Like, I'm looking at a random one right now that is incredible. And we'll get into it. But so today's episode is just going to be a little fun, lighthearted. What we talk about the art of the set and what we like and what we don't. Mainly what we like, because that's pretty much all there is in this set. But yeah, again, if this is your first time finding us, you can find us on YouTube at Illumineers Quest. Follow all of our unboxings and streams and other content that we put out aside from the podcast, as well as listen to the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at LorcanaPod. Ask us any questions to cover on the podcast. You can also email us questions at lorcanapod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you're on YouTube, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple, iheart, or any other major podcast providers. So with that said, card of the week. This isn't super synergistic with our topic because it's not one of my absolute favorites, but it is great art. I'm going to talk about Shere Khan, the Menacing Predator, the 3-cost inkable card in Ruby that has 3 strength, 3 willpower, but his real thing is with his ability, which his ability is whenever one of your characters challenge another character, you gain 1 lore.
This card so far is an early meta card, it seems.
Yeah, I think so, and I think I like it just because it definitely changes the way the game can be played. Before you had to quest to get lore. Now you can challenge players with him on the board or with him, and you get lore.
And you could I think with cards like that it's not just questing to get lore. Stacking is insane when you stack cards.
Yeah, I played a game. I think it was last night with 2 of them, and I had Mickey Mouse Detective from set 1 on there that was a 1/3. I had another 1/3. I can't remember which one it was. And then another relatively strong card. And I challenged with Mickey first so that he didn't kill the person. I challenged with the next person so that he didn't kill the card. So I could just stack those challenges to keep the lore coming and then finally finish it off. But anyways, yeah, I think it just is one of those new cool ways that changes the way you can get lore and kind of changes the way that the game can be played. But I'm also kind of workshopping, and I talked on that on Monday's episode. If you haven't listened, you should go check that one out. We talk a little bit more about Shere Khan and kind of how to play it. But I think that it just makes it more fun and more strategy based. Really think about what you want to do to get that going, because it's a different way of playing the game that we haven't seen before.
Completely different way of playing the game.
Yeah, so that is card of the week. News, what's on our mind, league match recap. I think the biggest thing on my mind now that we're a week out from when the initial cards drop, they dropped last Friday, it's Thursday today. They've said that more cards are coming very soon. We also mentioned on the last episode that a lot of more people have gotten back into it. The last 6 weeks or so of League were relatively light on the amount of players, but now there were 20 people at the sealed event on Sunday, and so that's a really strong start. Are we going to be able to keep that momentum with more cards? I really hope so.
I think we're going to be able to get there, especially if... I think the biggest thing for me is if single prices drop. To me, that's the number one thing.
That's a good point, too. I mean, I guess we didn't really talk too much about that, but the single prices on Chapter 2 seem way more reasonable than Chapter 1.
So far, nothing's touching Rapunzel.
I mean, even not, I mean, obviously Rapunzel's still by far the most expensive one. But I actually have the legendary list up right now. Wow, Beast Tragic Hero, the emo beast as we've dubbed him, is $40. So that's actually a really high one. But if you go down the list, you've got Madam Mim, Purple Dragon at 17, Donald Duck at 9, Snow White at 14, Scar at 17, Mufasa at 10, Sisu at 19, Alice at 30, so she's a little high, Fairy Godmother at 17, Relentless Beast, we talked about a ton last episode at 30, Bell Hidden Archer at 40. So, I mean, I guess there are a few that are up there still. But, I mean, I think in general, they're still, like, a lot more reasonable than Chapter 1.
I think so for sure. Also, just a side note, I think Bell Hidden Archer is a little, like that's really overpriced in my book.
I think that's a little overrated too. I have played against it twice on Pixelborn, and once it absolutely dumpstered me.
I think if you have that's the problem. Is like there was really cheap, like John Silver, for instance.
John Silver
in Chapter 1.
That's what happened. It was Bell into John Silver, and it got me. And I tried to stop it, but I just couldn't.
But like he's only $15, and he's really situational. I think Bell is really situational, in my opinion.
I think Bell's more situational than John Silver. I think John Silver's not as situational because he can stall your opponents out.
So I think her price should be dropped quite a bit.
I would hope.
I would think.
I would hope. I don't know. I think that's a $20 card.
I would say even more like 15 range. I just think that
it does provide more value than Mufasa or Donald, though.
I just think the initial hype on the card might have pushed the price.
Yeah, I agree. And that one, for some reason, was the first one that had like a pre-order listing on TCG Player, and at like 90, and so maybe that's, people saw that and think it's a good price now. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I think that's on our mind. Like cards availability, keeping the hype going, keeping the amount of people at League, keeping the ability to bring more players into the game, Christmas presents, you name it, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that being said, let's get into it. Let's just rapid fire some of these here real quick. Do you have an artwork that is one of your favorites that you want to touch on?
Yeah, Hercules, Hero in Training. It's a very comedic one from the movie.
Is that the dummy carrier? Okay, yeah.
It's a moment from the movie. It's him saving the dummy on a stick.
That
from
is
a
a
fire.
really good one.
It has a lot of movement going on in it as well.
The colors are great.
It's just one that kind of pops, even though it's like a common card. It's just one that I love just because the moment it takes from the movie. I'll let you do the next one.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Shout out Emerald, Tiana, True Princess.
Absolutely.
I think this is probably the best foil. I said going in, I think my favorite art was going to be Peter Pan's Shadow. The foil on the Shadow was very not as poppy with the color streaks as I thought it would be. I think this one is. I shouldn't have started at the top, but that's what I did. I started at the top. I think Tiana, True Princess from Emerald is my favorite. I think all of the little leaves and the colors you get from that and the colors you get from the surrounding are just fantastic. And then her dress and the sky and everything is just it's crispy. It's perfect.
No, absolutely. One that I think came out on the final day of releases was Rapunzel Sunshine, I believe. She was a late announcement.
She was, yeah.
She is my favorite foil in the set.
Yep.
She has the lanterns entangled in her hair. There's so many different things going on with this card art. It might have topped the Cheshire Cat.
Ooh.
As my favorite art in the set.
We should probably be talking about these too. So as we go through giving some background stats on it, we missed the boat on the first ones there. But yeah, Rapunzel Sunshine that he's talking about is a 2-cost, one of the shift targets for the Floodborn Rapunzel. 1 strength, 4 willpower, but has a cool exert to remove 2 damage from chosen character ability. So just a passive, or I guess that's not necessarily passive because you have to do it, but every turn damage removal if not dealt with, and 4 willpower on a 2-cost card is pretty stellar.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I like that one a lot too. I think her hair glows on the foil especially really well.
Yes.
Okay, back to me. I'm gonna go kind of off to left field here and go to Sapphire, which we don't talk too much about usually, but Judy Hopps. I know it's one I have to talk about Zootopia because it's one of my favorite ones. I got a foil of Judy Hopps in our sealed event on Sunday, and I thought it was good. It's a little more basic. Like there's nothing crazy about it. It's just kind of her standing there, but the carrot kind of puts it over the edge for me. In her belt, she's got a carrot like
that's great.
And her, I don't know, as like one of her police weapons, a carrot,
like a baton.
Yeah, so I don't know what that one's all about. Does she have a carrot in the movie that she carries around with her?
She snacks on it.
Like throughout, I couldn't remember.
Like throughout the movie, I think.
I mean, obviously, it makes sense for her to be snacking on carrots. I guess I just didn't think that, or didn't remember that was part of it. But anyways, yeah, I'm going Judy Hopps.
Nice. So this one has to do with how much I love the movie, but this is my next one is Madame Mim, Rival of Merlin. It's the Floodborn, 5-cost inkable, 2 strength, 5 willpower, 2 lore, shift for 3. And her ability is Gruesome and Grim. Exert this character. Play a character with cost 4 or less for free. They gain Rush. At the end of the turn, banish them.
I do like this one too. We probably should have talked about this on the first episode, but we need to talk about that one at a future time. I'm going to tease it right now. The infinite lore glitch that she brings. Do you remember that one?
I have to look at it again.
So she lets you exert to play a 4-cost character for free. So you play LeFou for free, who then readies Madame Mim. And then LeFou gains Rush because of her ability, so he challenges into somebody. And then if you have Facilia on the board too, he goes back to your hand. But Madame Mim is no longer exerted, so you can exert her again to give a character Rush. And you just literally circle, and you just keep going. And if you have Shere Khan on the board, then you just get a lore every time you challenge.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to make that a deck.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in more detail on a later episode. But yeah, no, I like that one a lot. I like all of the
different forms
in the background.
She's got the dragon, the cat, which are both cards, but a form that is not a card is when she turns into like a younger lady, which is not a card as of yet, but that is like kind of teased at in the back. Especially like Madame Mim herself, she's got like a cool like bat-winged kind of dress.
That's a cool one for sure.
Overall, I love the movie so much. Sword in the Stone.
That is a good one. Okay, I'm gonna go like super traditional. Like this could not be a more storyborn card, but Cinderella Ballroom Sensation, the 1-drop in amber.
Absolutely.
That is like the picturesque Cinderella that you think about. So I just think they did a fantastic job with that because it is storyborn. It does a fantastic job with the card. It's like what you think about Cinderella, one of the most iconic Disney characters to begin with. So I thought, there's not much to say about that one. She's a 1-cost inkable, 1 strength, 2 willpower card in amber, like I mentioned. She's also a singer like Ariel, and she's a singer 3, so she's really good. And we kind of touched on this on the last episode, because she can sing some of those new 3-cost songs that you got in Steel. So
it really tells the story of like her story personally of her coming out of the carriage and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I have seen The Enchanted in person, and it is incredible looking.
Well, yeah, you brought it up. I was gonna say it, but since you brought it up, let's just skip to that now. What is your favorite Enchanted art? I've got it pulled up for you right here. Well, that's not all of them because not all of them are listed, but there's a couple of them. So we've seen Snow White in person. We've seen Cinderella in person. We've also got the Beast, the Arthur, the Namari, the Sisu. Who else am I missing? The Pete, the Mim.
Lincoln here.
Yeah, Arthur, Pete. We're kind of definitely on our whim here trying to figure stuff out, and I'm clicking around and Jake's not talking.
I'm sorry.
Rarity.
I'm trying to think.
There's a way to like just filter to this.
What's the ruby one?
Shere Khan and Lady Tremaine.
Lady Tremaine, yep.
And then what are the steel ones?
Namari.
Yep, Namari. Man, we're like totally up on this.
We're so good at this. We're so good.
Enchanted. Maybe if I just search Enchanted.
Now you guys know we don't edit the podcast.
Yeah, we definitely don't edit.
Oh, Hercules.
Yep, that's right. Hercules is a good one too.
Which I'm going to pick none of the ones that we tried to find and mention.
Good, because just go for it then.
Mine by far is Cinderella. Like if we're picking one besides that, it's Beast. But it is by far Cinderella. It's just absolutely incredible looking. It's my favorite enchanted out of all of them so far in any chapter. It is incredible.
I think that's probably my favorite one too. Again, I just said that non-enchanted was one of them. I think the fact that it's just like so picturesque, like Cinderella. I do love the Beast. I do love the Arthur. The Snow White one we pulled is not too bad. I think that's towards the top of my list. I will say, again, personal preference here. If you drew this one or this is one of your favorites, I don't like the Madame Mim one. I think that one's a little underwhelming. I think there's just like a little too much going on.
See, I like that one. So
no, I don't like that one.
The Polars of Madame Mim, I represent you.
You're
safe.
Did
great.
You're safe with Jake, not me, apparently. The Hercules one's towards the top of the list. I like Pete, just not near as much as any of the other ones. Lady Tremaine, take it or leave it again.
I actually like Pete a lot. I'll say that as well. I like Pete a lot.
I have a feeling Pete will be relatively reasonable to get at some point too.
Hopefully. Arthur's great.
Namari, I don't understand why she got one. I mean, it's a Raya set, but we're giving it to Namari.
Sisu did get one, so that kind of makes sense.
Sisu got one, I guess.
I feel like Raya definitely should have got one.
Overall, they're good though.
They're fine. I would really say, good.
I would say like
overall they're better than chapter 1.
At least 9 of the 10 are really solid, or 9 of the 12 are really solid. But
overall, they're better than chapter 1. I think for sure.
I don't know if I will agree with you on that one. The Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer from chapter 1 is fantastic. Carefree Surfer Stitch is fantastic. I really like the Aurora. The Maui's pretty good. Genie on the Job's okay. Haven't even touched on Elsa yet. And then I just really like Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, so I like that one too. I don't know. Maybe, Tinkerbell. I'm fine with Tinkerbell. Hades. I don't really like the villains, as we all know. Man, these prices have really come down too. If you want an Enchanted of Chapter 1, like, now's the time to look at it. $100 for Hades, $100 for Genie on the Job, $117 for Aladdin Heroic Outlaw. I'm off topic. Okay, let's shift this in a new direction. Of like the set, like the ink types, which is your favorite art? Because I feel like they're all kind of different. Like especially with like Amber, for instance, there's 7 dwarves. They all kind of make a picture together, which we can talk about too. Do you like? Side note as we get into this back one. Do you like that these 7 dwarves all put side by side make one picture? Is that cool?
Absolutely, that's incredible.
Okay, I thought that was cool too. I didn't think that was a hot take. But
no, not a hot take at all. That's great. I think in any way we can kind of get them more synergistic like that is awesome. I think it's great.
I'm trying to see who drew as the artist on all these. I think it was the Sin one. Kendall Hale, shout out Kendall Hale for the 7 dwarfs art.
He did a great job on all of them, like just the art, like the characters themselves and the background that it's all connected. He did a great job.
Yeah, he did all those, so that's cool to see. But the point I was trying to get to is like, I think the Amber ones are like very fun and light, especially with the 7 dwarfs, and very kind of realistic in the woods and everything that you got there. You get into Amethyst, which you already touched on the Madame Mim, but it's very much like swirls and potions and spells that you in the Honey Wizard we've touched on a long time ago. You get a little bit of that in Emerald, but you get a lot more like complex backgrounds. Like you got Prince John standing in front of like his mound of cash.
So I'll just say this: Emerald is my favorite, and like I'll pop on this here. Like you've got lots of shadows. Like I've noticed in Emerald, like there's lots of shadows, lots of dark lighting. Which I think is super, super interesting. And, you see it in almost close to every single card in Emerald. Lots of shadows, lots of shade. And overall, I just really like that look. It also is one of my favorite inks playable this chapter. You
get into Ruby, and you've got, like, a lot of powerful, like, fighting and fire, which, I think very much, again, is reminiscent of the set and the color itself, but you have Scar like over a really very sunset sky, but it's very like ominous with the red colors there. You've got Mulan, like a big, fighting background. You've got a lot of that. So I like that. That one is very, I think, very stylistically together. Then you've got a lot of the blues and sapphire, obviously. And then steel, you get into, I think, a lot of, I don't know, kind of a diversity, I think. You have like the underwater stuff with Donald. You have the gargoyle beast. You have more realistic stuff with like Goofy and Kronk. You get into the Jafar, which is kind of out there again. So you said Emerald is your favorite, or I think I'm gonna go Amber is my favorite one.
That's fair.
Because I think it's more like very Disney. I think with the Seven Dwarfs especially, you get into like just a very Disney style. Absolutely. Whereas some of these other ones,
Emerald being probably the most opposite from it, to be completely honest.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that very well could be. But nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's whatever art types you like. I mean, it's very, I think, personal opinion on that. So that's completely fine. No, I take it back. It's not fine.
That's your usual self. So I was ready for that.
No, I mean, we like to banter. We go back and forth.
Speaking of banter, I'd like to mention the best card art in the game. This is Ray, Easygoing Firefly.
I saw that coming from a mile away.
Absolutely incredible. Have you looked at it?
And thanks for staying with us, everybody. And that's the end of the episode. Beep.
Wait, are we leaving a message?
No.
Look, he's got his family in the back.
I do like the card art. I like
He's happy. You even get Evangeline in the background.
You didn't mention Pain and Panic also being in the same scene as each other, kind of like the Seven Dwarfs.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about Ray now, so hush hush.
I'm trying to...
He's got Evangeline. He's got Evangeline in the back. He's got his whole family. He's in the swamp. He's happy. Right
before tragedy.
I swear, if we ever get an action that is Dr. Sayer's foot, I'm going to lose my mind.
Pain and Panic are really good too, though. Like the scene that they're in together.
So I believe
cool.
I believe they are in the Great Luminary.
It looks like it with Hades in the background in the Panic card. Is that overlooked?
So I think that is actually the Dark Mist coming from the Floodborne book.
Oh, yeah, that could be. I took it as like Hades, because like Panic is like looking up, like, hey, I screwed up again. Sorry, boss. But
I see that.
It very well could be. It could be what you're saying too. That could be right.
Which we're getting to lore a little bit, which we're going to do a whole episode on that in the future, so stay tuned.
Yeah, full lore recap. So shout out to Jake for taking all the notes on that one. We haven't talked about Minnie Mouse Wide-Eyed Diver.
So she tells a whole story.
There's a whole lore story behind that one too, with Donald Duck diving. I think Minnie Mouse, the card, is very underwhelming. I think the art, not so much.
No, honestly, all of Minnie's art, all three cards.
That's a very good point. I mean, she's very active. She's living her best life for sure.
Especially zipping around.
Surfing, dining. Zipping around is definitely a fantastic one. I think you can't forget Tigger if we're talking Ruby.
Absolutely.
Superhero Tigger.
Like Super Grover, but Super Tigger. It's awesome.
Okay, and then, last one, but you have to pick an item/action. I already have mine.
I know. Okay.
I'm covering up my phone so you can't see it /copy/take my ideas. Do you want me to go first?
Go for it.
I hope I take yours because it'll be a funny one. I'm going especially the foil here. Let the storm rage on.
I knew it. Yeah.
Let the storm rage on. Jake is not a fan of Frozen and for some reason is very salty that this song has 2 cards. But it is fantastic.
I love the movie Frozen. I think it is a great Disney movie.
No, you hate the movie Frozen.
I don't like the hype. I don't like the hype. When any movie, except if it's Marvel, gets too hyped, I for some reason just dislike the movie. But I think the movie is great.
Okay. I know this was a short one, but... you got one more? Okay, one more.
I've got the action. My action
card. I'm cutting you off. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yes, go.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
That honestly might be better than mine, and I love Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, but I just had to do Let the Storm Rage On because it is really solid, and I knew it would get a rise out of you.
I'm surprised you didn't do the dozen eggs or whatever it is, 4 dozen eggs.
No, that's my meme. Your meme is Ray. My meme is making sure that everybody knows that you love that song.
Ray's not a meme, he's a legendary. And with that...
No, side note, it's an art question, but it's not related to Lorcana. What do you think of the art style of Wish that comes out tomorrow when this releases?
We have someone as a friend, a mutual friend, that absolutely despises it.
Spencer 3D, shout out, was the first guest on the podcast.
Wow, we're calling him out.
Yeah.
He despises the art. He hates it.
Oh, he does.
And the goat. I think it looks great.
I think it looks great. I like the art style.
Yeah.
It's very like... I mean, I'm not an artist. I don't know the right verbiage to use, but it's like very... It's just... It has a subtlety to it that is really cool, in my opinion. And so I'm very hyped for it. I have seen the initial reviews. They're not great, and so I'm hoping for the best with that one. But
I mean, Tangled didn't get the best initial reviews either, and I kind of love that. So.
Yeah, Tangled's great. But yeah, anyways, we just wanted to do another fun one with all the Chapter 2 stuff and all the art. Talk through some of that before we dive back into like super competitive.
Basically, we're just buying time to learn the meta.
I mean, that is one of the reasons too, is we also don't want to make a tier list like Chapter 1 where we got some right and some very, very wrong.
Rapunzel was not on the best card tier list.
No, Rapunzel was not.
And Amber was at the bottom of the ink tier list.
All right. With that note, everyone, thanks for listening. And, what is your favorite art? And if you are an artist and you have more insight into why some of these are cool or not, then yeah, let us know, because we only mentioned a few of them, but I think there's a ton of fantastic ones in here. There was one I was looking at like before we started, and I didn't even mention those because there's so many good ones. But yeah, thanks for listening, and check out next week for more continued coverage on Chapter 2 release.
All right, see you guys. Thanks so much.
Bye.